The first contact protocols of the Galactic Council had been refined over thousands of years. When a new species reached the stars, they were evaluated, categorized, and assigned their place in the cosmic hierarchy. The process was methodical, scientific, and had never failed to accurately predict a species' potential. Until the humans arrived. Ambassador Zexhan of the Thrixian Empire watched the primitive vessel approach the neutral station with barely concealed amusement. The ship was crewed by galactic standards, held together by what appeared to be metal welding and powered by fusion reactors that any civilized species had abandoned millennia ago. The humans had somehow managed to stumble into faster-than-light travel, but their technology was laughably primitive. The Thrixians themselves were apex predators on their homeworld, standing 8 feet tall with razor-sharp claws and enhanced musculature that had made them the dominant military force in 3 star systems. They had earned their place through conquest and intimidation. These small, soft-skinned bipeds from a backwater planet called Earth could hardly be considered a threat. "Sir," his aide whispered, "the human delegation has requested permission to dock." Zexhan waved a clawed hand dismissively. "Grant it. Let's get this formality over with. Standard evaluation protocol. They'll likely be classified as a servant species and assigned to agricultural or manufacturing duties." The human ship docked with mechanical precision that surprised him slightly. When the airlock opened, 5 humans stepped through. They were smaller than Zexhan had expected, the tallest barely reaching his chest. Their skin looked fragile, without natural armor or visible weapons. Yet something about their movements made his predator instincts twitch uncomfortably. The lead human, introducing himself as Captain Sarah Chen, approached with confident strides. Her eyes swept the reception chamber, cataloging every detail with the methodical precision of a hunter studying terrain. She didn't show the submissive posture that most new species displayed when meeting their galactic superiors. "Ambassador Zexhan," she said in accented but clear galactic standard, "I'm honored to represent Earth in these proceedings." The formal evaluation began in the council chamber. Representatives from 7 major galactic powers observed as humans underwent standard tests. Physical capability assessments showed they were unremarkable. Their strength was average, their speed moderate, their natural weapons non-existent. The Corvan representative, a massive crystalline being, chuckled like grinding stones as the humans struggled with basic strength trials. "No natural armor, no claws, no venom," the Corvan noted aloud. "How did such a weak species even survive to reach space?" Captain Chen smiled enigmatically. "We're resourceful." The psychological evaluations proved more interesting. Humans scored high on adaptability and problem-solving, but these were common traits among successful spacefaring species. What caught the evaluators' attention was their unusual response to stress scenarios. While most species showed predictable fight-or-flight responses, humans exhibited something different. Under pressure, they became calmer, more focused. When presented with impossible scenarios, they didn't accept defeat. Instead, they found alternatives that the test designers hadn't even considered. In one simulation, subjects were trapped in a flooding chamber with no apparent escape. The Zephyrian representative had designed this test to measure panic response and survival instincts. Every species tested had either searched for the hidden exit or called for help. The human simply removed her jacket, tied off the sleeves, and used it as a flotation device while systematically testing the chamber walls for weak points. She found a maintenance panel that wasn't part of the official solution. "Interesting," murmured Dr. Veltar, the Etherian xenopsychologist. "They don't think like other species. Most beings look for the intended solution. Humans create new solutions." The military assessment was where things became truly unusual. Humans were presented with standard combat scenarios against holographic opponents. Their physical performance was mediocre, but their tactical thinking was unlike anything the evaluators had seen. Instead of relying on individual prowess, humans immediately began working in coordinated groups. They used their environment as a weapon, turning furniture into barricades and improvising tools from materials at hand. Most remarkably, they adapted their tactics in real time, learning from each engagement and modifying their approach. Captain Chen participated in a one-on-one combat trial against a holographic Thrixian warrior. The simulation was designed to be winnable but challenging. She lost the first encounter within seconds, crushed by superior strength and speed. Most species would accept this as proof of their limitations. Instead, Shen requested to repeat the trial. And again. And again. Each time, she lasted slightly longer, learned new patterns, exploited different weaknesses. By the 10th attempt, she was making the holographic Thrixian work for its victory. By the 20th, she won. Zexhan watched this display with growing unease. In Thrixian culture, you either dominated or were dominated. The concept of incremental improvement through repeated failure was alien to his thinking. Yet he couldn't deny the results. The technological assessment revealed another puzzling aspect of human nature. Their ships and equipment were indeed primitive by galactic standards, but they were robust and adaptable in ways that sophisticated technology wasn't. When evaluators introduced random malfunctions to test responses, human equipment kept functioning where more advanced systems would have failed. Their technology is crude, noted the Cytherian observer, a being of pure energy who existed in a specialized containment suit. But it's remarkably redundant. Multiple backup systems, manual overrides for every automated function. It's as if they expect everything to break. Captain Chen nodded when this observation was shared. We've learned that when your life depends on something working, you don't trust it to be perfect. You plan for failure and prepare alternatives. The evaluation committee deliberated for 3 standard days. The results defied easy categorization. Humans were physically unremarkable, technologically primitive, yet possessed cognitive abilities and psychological traits that didn't fit established patterns. They're too weak for military service, argued the Corvin delegate. Too primitive for technical roles. But too intelligent for simple labor. Dr. Veltar disagreed. Intelligence without supporting capabilities is common in the galaxy. What's unusual about humans is their approach to problems. They don't accept limitations as permanent. That could be dangerous in the wrong circumstances. Ambassador Zexhan found himself oddly disturbed by the humans. Something about their quiet confidence and adaptable nature triggered deep predator instincts he thought he'd evolved beyond. These weren't the submissive prey species the Council usually encountered, nor were they the proud warrior races that earned respect through strength. They were something else entirely. The final decision was unprecedented. Humans were granted provisional membership in the Galactic Council but with severe restrictions. They could trade in designated sectors, establish limited colonies in uninhabited systems, and access basic galactic technology databases. However, they were prohibited from military service, restricted from advanced technology purchases, and forbidden from settling in systems claimed by established powers. A sensible compromise, Zexhan announced to the assembled delegates. We acknowledge their potential while limiting their ability to disrupt galactic stability. Captain Chen accepted these terms with the same enigmatic smile she'd worn throughout the proceedings. As the human delegation prepared to leave, she approached the ambassador privately. Thank you for this opportunity, she said. I think you'll find that humans make the most of whatever chances they're given. Something in her tone made Zexhan's scales ripple with unconscious tension. See that you do so responsibly. The galaxy has little patience for species that overreach their designated roles. Of course, Chen replied. We understand our place. But, as she walked away, Zexhan couldn't shake the feeling that she meant something entirely different than what he'd heard. The human's parting words echoed in his mind, humans make the most of whatever chances they're given. In the weeks following first contact, reports began filtering back to the Galactic Council about human activities in their designated sectors. They were establishing colonies, setting up trade routes, and adapting to alien environments with remarkable speed. More concerning were unconfirmed reports of human ships and systems where they technically shouldn't be, always with plausible explanations for their presence. Dr. Veltar submitted a supplementary report to the Council expressing concerns about the initial assessment. His research into human history, conducted through their primitive but extensive data networks, revealed patterns that troubled him. Humans, it seemed, had dominated their homeworld not through superior strength or natural weapons, but through persistence, adaptability, and an unsettling tendency to treat any obstacle as merely a temporary inconvenience. Their evolutionary history showed them outcompeting species that should have been their natural superiors. But it was already too late for second thoughts. The humans were loose in the galaxy, and they were learning fast. In the Outer Rim territories, human colonies began reporting discoveries of abandoned technologies from long-dead civilizations. These finds were always reported to galactic authorities as required, but somehow the most advanced pieces always seemed to suffer mysterious malfunctions before they could be properly catalogued. Meanwhile, human traders developed reputations for getting cargo through blockades, finding routes through unexplored space, and somehow always having exactly what their customers needed, regardless of how exotic the request. The restrictions placed on humanity began to seem less like barriers and more like suggestions that humans politely acknowledged while pursuing their own agenda. Ambassador Zexhan realized his mistake too late. He had evaluated humans by the standards used for every other species, looking for familiar patterns of strength, intelligence, and aggression. He had missed the most dangerous quality of all, the human ability to turn restrictions into opportunities, obstacles into advantages, and weaknesses into strengths. The galaxy was about to learn what it meant when an entire species refused to accept limitations as permanent. As reports of human activities multiplied across the outer systems, one fact became increasingly clear to the few observers paying attention. Humanity hadn't just achieved spaceflight and found their way to the galactic community. They had survived and thrived on a planet that was, by galactic standards, actively hostile to life. Earth sat in what xenobiologists called the Goldilocks zone, but what they failed to appreciate was how narrow that zone actually was, and how violently dynamic Earth's environment could be. Humans had evolved on a world of ice ages and volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts and mass extinctions, predators and diseases that would have eliminated most galactic species before they developed tool use. They weren't just another intelligent species joining the galactic community. They were the descendants of billions of years of life-or-death competition on one of the most dangerous planets in the known galaxy. And now they were in space, with all that evolutionary pressure behind them, facing a galaxy full of species that had evolved in much more stable, predictable environments. The real test wasn't how humans would fit into galactic civilization. It was whether galactic civilization could survive the introduction of a species that had learned to treat extinction-level challenges as ordinary Tuesday afternoons. In the restricted archives of the Galactic Council, Dr. Veltar quietly updated his assessment of humanity's long-term threat level. Then, he locked the files and hoped he was wrong about what he'd seen in those calm, calculating human eyes. He wasn't. 3 years after first contact, the Caliph hegemony was experiencing what their military commanders euphemistically called shipping irregularities in the Outer Rim territories. Ships were disappearing. Not destroyed, not captured, simply gone without distress calls or debris fields. General Krask, the supreme commander of the hegemony's Third Fleet, studied the tactical displays with growing frustration. 17 commercial vessels and 4 military escorts had vanished in the past month alone. The affected region encompassed nearly 200 star systems, all supposedly under Caliph control. Analysis suggests coordinated radar activity, his intelligence officer reported. But we've detected no organized pirate fleets in the region. No bases, no supply lines, no communication intercepts. Krask's 4 eyes fixed on the star map. The Caliph had ruled these systems for over 8 centuries through overwhelming military superiority. Their battle cruisers were the size of cities, armed with weapons capable of cracking planets. The concept of raiders operating freely in hegemony space was unthinkable. What about the new species? The humans? They have established several small colonies in the region, all properly registered and inspected. Their ships are accounted for, their activities documented. Standard merchant vessels and mining operations, nothing unusual. But something was wrong. Krask had earned his rank through 300 years of military service, and his instincts were screaming warnings. The timing was too convenient. The humans arrive, and, suddenly, the hegemony's perfect record of system security develops holes. He ordered a full investigation. The investigation team consisted of the hegemony's most experienced intelligence operatives, led by Colonel Zithara, a specialist in unconventional warfare. What they discovered challenged everything the galactic powers understood about human capabilities. The human colonies were exactly what they appeared to be. Mining operations extracting standard metals and rare earth elements, agricultural settlements growing food for local consumption, research stations studying cosmic phenomena. Every installation was small, primitively defended, and operating well within the restrictions placed on human expansion. But Zithara noticed details that bothered her. Human settlements were always positioned near asteroid fields, planetary ring systems, or other areas of high cosmic debris. Their mining operations consistently chose locations that happened to provide excellent sensor shadows. Their agricultural worlds were invariably selected for complex weather patterns that would interfere with orbital surveillance. They're hiding in plain sight, she realized during her third week of investigation. Every settlement is positioned to provide maximum operational security while appearing completely innocuous. Her suspicions were confirmed when she attempted to conduct surprise inspections of human facilities. Despite having no advance warning, every human installation was prepared for her arrival. Personnel were available to give tours, documentation was ready for review, and operations were running at exactly the levels reported in their official filings. Too perfect, Zithara muttered. Real colonies have unexpected problems, personnel conflicts, equipment failures. These installations run like military bases masquerading as civilian operations. The breakthrough came when her team detected a faint energy signature from what appeared to be an abandoned asteroid mining site. The humans had filed closure documents for the facility 6 months earlier, claiming the mineral deposits were exhausted. But passive sensors detected minimal power usage consistent with automated systems. Zithara decided to investigate personally. The asteroid was exactly as described in the closure documents. Tunnels had been carved to extract valuable ores, then abandoned when the deposits ran dry. Her team's inspection found empty chambers, deactivated equipment, and extensive sensor logs showing months of standard mining operations. What they didn't find until the 4th hour of searching was the hidden chamber buried deep in the asteroid's core. Colonel, her communications specialist whispered into his helmet comm, "You need to see this." The concealed facility was a masterpiece of camouflaged engineering. From the outside, the asteroid appeared dead and abandoned. Inside, a sophisticated operations center coordinated activities across the entire sector. The technology was decades ahead of anything humans were supposed to possess, yet clearly of human design and manufacture. How is this possible? Zithara demanded as her team documented the facility. The technology database clearly shows human capabilities as primitive fusion power and basic computer systems. Her answer came from captured data files that revealed the truth about human expansion in the Outer Rim. The colonies weren't just settlements, they were components of a massive intelligence and logistics network. Every human facility served dual purposes, maintaining legitimate civilian operations while supporting a hidden military infrastructure. The humans weren't just adapting abandoned alien technology, as the Council had assumed. They were reverse engineering it, improving it, and manufacturing their own versions in secret facilities scattered across hundreds of systems. More concerning, they were doing this work faster than established galactic powers had thought possible. This indicates a level of technological advancement that contradicts all first contact assessments, Zithara reported to General Kraskva. Either humans lied about their capabilities during initial evaluation, or they've achieved technological advancement at rates that shouldn't be possible. Kraskva studied the evidence with growing unease. Are you suggesting the humans are responsible for our missing ships? I'm suggesting that we may have severely underestimated human capabilities and intentions. These facilities could support significant military operations while maintaining the appearance of simple civilian colonies. The general ordered immediate action. If humans were operating military facilities in violation of their restrictions, the hegemony would respond with overwhelming force. 3 battle groups were dispatched to the human sectors with orders to conduct thorough inspections and destroy any unauthorized installations. What happened next became known in military circles as the Epsilon Incident, though full details remained classified for decades. The first battle group, consisting of 1 heavy cruiser and 6 destroyer escorts, approached the human mining colony on Epsilon Kepler-3 with standard intimidation protocols. The colony's response was immediate and unprecedented. Instead of the expected submission or panicked evacuation, the humans transmitted a simple message: "We are prepared to defend ourselves." Admiral Thexan AR, commanding the operation, found this amusing. The colony consisted of perhaps 50,000 humans living in scattered settlements across a barely habitable ice world. His ships could sterilize the planet's surface in minutes. "Human colony," he broadcast, "you are in violation of Galactic Council restrictions. Surrender immediately and prepare for inspection, or face the consequences." The human response was delivered by a woman identifying herself as Colonial Administrator Sarah Chen, the same human who had represented Earth during first contact evaluations. "Admiral, we respectfully decline your demand. This colony operates within all established parameters and recognizes no authority to conduct unauthorized inspections." Thexan AR had commanded fleets for 2 centuries. In all that time, no species had ever refused a direct order from a hegemony battle group. The concept was so foreign that he initially thought the transmission was some kind of technical error. "Human administrator," he replied, "you appear to misunderstand the situation. Compliance is not optional. Surrender immediately or we will use force." "We understand perfectly, Admiral. Our answer remains no." What followed challenged every assumption the galactic powers held about human capabilities. The moment Admiral Thexan AR ordered his ships to firing positions, every human facility on the planet vanished from sensors. Not destroyed, not disabled, simply invisible. His targeting systems showed nothing but empty landscape where major installations had been clearly visible moments before. "Stealth technology," his tactical officer reported with obvious confusion. But the energy requirements for hiding installations of this size should be impossible with human technology levels. Then, the asteroid field around Epsilon Kepler-3 came alive. What Thexan AR had dismissed as standard cosmic debris revealed itself as the most sophisticated defensive network he had ever encountered. Rocks that had appeared inert for millions of years suddenly blazed with weapon signatures and electronic warfare emissions. His ships found themselves surrounded by hundreds of hidden platforms, each one targeting vital systems with weapons that shouldn't exist. How is this possible? Thexan AR demanded as his tactical displays painted threats from every direction. Intelligence reported no significant human military presence in this system. The answer came as his ship's systems began failing in cascading waves. The humans weren't using conventional weapons. Instead, they deployed technological warfare beyond anything the hegemony had encountered. Computer viruses that adapted faster than countermeasures could be developed. Electromagnetic pulse weapons that selectively targeted specific ship systems while leaving others intact. Gravitational distortion fields that disrupted faster-than-light communications and navigation. Within 2 hours, Admiral Thexan AR's battle group was dead in space. Not destroyed, but completely disabled. Every ship was intact, every crew member alive, but nothing functioned. They couldn't move, couldn't communicate with Fleet Command, couldn't even operate their life support systems without human permission. The human administrator's voice cut through the electronic chaos with perfect clarity. "Admiral, your ships are now under our protection. Your crews are safe, your vessels undamaged. Please consider this a demonstration of our commitment to self-defense." Thexan AR's pride warred with his survival instincts. "You cannot hold hegemony vessels indefinitely. The Third Fleet will respond with overwhelming force." "We're counting on it," Chen replied. "Please inform your superiors that any further hostile action will be met with proportional response." The transmission ended, leaving the Admiral to contemplate the impossible situation. A human colony of 50,000 civilians had neutralized a battle group designed to conquer star systems. More disturbing, they had done so without killing a single hegemony crew member, demonstrating both capability and restraint that suggested sophisticated military thinking. When rescue ships arrived 3 days later, they found Fex and AR's battle group intact but humbled. The human colony had vanished completely, leaving only empty facilities and standard mining equipment. The asteroid field had returned to inert rock and ice, showing no trace of the weapons platforms that had dominated hegemony warships. General Krask reviewed the after-action reports with growing alarm. The humans hadn't just defended themselves, they had demonstrated technological capabilities that rivaled the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. More concerning, they had achieved this advancement in just 3 years while maintaining the appearance of primitive colonists. This changes everything, Krask informed the Hegemony High Command. The humans aren't the harmless newcomers we believed them to be. They've been conducting military operations throughout the Outer Rim while we focused on traditional threats. The investigation into missing hegemony ships suddenly made sense. Humans weren't raiding commercial vessels through conventional piracy. They were conducting precise surgical strikes against specific targets while maintaining plausible deniability. Ships that carried advanced technology or strategic information simply disappeared, their crews found safe but confused on distant planets with no memory of what had happened to their vessels. Selective amnesia technology, Colonel Zithera reported. The humans can extract information, confiscate cargo, and return crews unharmed but unable to provide useful intelligence. It's more sophisticated than anything in our databases. The galaxy's major powers had made a critical error in their assessment of humanity. They had evaluated human potential based on their starting technology and biological capabilities while ignoring their most dangerous asset, their ability to learn, adapt, and innovate at rates that defied galactic norms. Humans didn't just reverse engineer alien technology, they improved it. They didn't just copy existing solutions, they created entirely new approaches to old problems. Most disturbing of all, they didn't just defend their territories, they actively expanded their capabilities while maintaining the facade of compliance with galactic restrictions. Emergency sessions of the Galactic Council were called to address the human situation. For the first time in recorded history, a newly contacted species had forced the established powers to reconsider fundamental assumptions about galactic hierarchy and technological development. The debate centered on a question that no one wanted to ask directly: if humans could achieve this level of advancement in 3 years while operating under severe restrictions, what could they accomplish if those restrictions were removed? Ambassador Zexhan, who had overseen the original first contact evaluation, found himself defending decisions that now seemed dangerously naive. We followed established protocols. Every evaluation suggested they were a minor species suitable for limited participation in galactic civilization. Dr. Veltar's supplementary report was finally given serious consideration. His warnings about human adaptability and refusal to accept limitations had been dismissed as academic speculation. Now they read like prophecy. We may have made the most significant tactical error in galactic history, he informed the emergency session. We gave a predator species access to our technology, our trade routes, and our civilizations while assuming they would remain content with the limitations we imposed. Instead, they've used our own resources to develop capabilities that challenge our supremacy. The question facing the Galactic Council was no longer how to integrate humans into existing power structures. It was whether those power structures could survive the presence of a species that treated every restriction as a problem to be solved rather than a boundary to be respected. As reports continued to flow in from across the galaxy, a pattern emerged that filled even the most confident galactic leaders with unease. Humans weren't just present in the Outer Rim territories they'd been assigned. They were everywhere, operating in the shadows of galactic civilization, learning its secrets and testing its defenses. The restrictions placed on humanity hadn't contained them. Instead, those limitations had forced humans to develop alternative approaches to achieving their goals. Approaches that made them nearly invisible to conventional detection while building capabilities that rivaled or exceeded those of the galaxy's established powers. The galaxy was about to discover what happened when an entire species of apex predators decided that the existing order wasn't working in their favor. The Valder crisis began with what appeared to be a simple territorial dispute. The Nethys Collective, an alliance of 3 spacefaring species known for their aggressive expansion policies, claimed the Valder system based on ancient survey rights. The system contained 12 habitable worlds and had been settled by humans for 18 months under legitimate colonial charters. Standard galactic law was clear. Ancient claims superseded recent settlement rights, and the humans would be relocated to available territory elsewhere. The collective mobilized their fleets to enforce the eviction order, expecting routine compliance from the restricted human settlements. What they discovered in the Valder system redefined galactic understanding of human capabilities and intentions. Fleet Commander Yasix of the Nethys Collective approached Valder Prime with a task force of 43 warships, including 2 of their most advanced dreadnoughts. Intelligence reports indicated roughly 2 million human colonists scattered across the system's planets, protected by nothing more substantial than mining equipment and agricultural machinery. The first sign that something was wrong came when his fleet's approach triggered no distress signals, no evacuation traffic, no diplomatic communications. Instead, the humans transmitted a single message to the approaching fleet: "Welcome to Valder. Please state your intentions." Human colonies, Commander Yasix broadcast, by order of the Galactic Council and Ancient Collective Territorial Claims, you are ordered to evacuate this system immediately. You have 72 standard hours to comply. The response came from someone identifying herself as System Administrator Elizabeth Torres. "Commander, we acknowledge your message. However, we must respectfully decline your eviction order. The Valder system is now under human protection." Yasix felt his gill slits flutter with amusement. Humans protecting a star system from one of the galaxy's premier military forces was absurd. "Administrator, you misunderstand the situation. This is not a request. Compliance is mandatory under galactic law." "We understand perfectly, Commander. Our position remains unchanged." That was when the Valder system revealed its true nature. What the collective had identified as 12 colonial worlds was actually the most sophisticated military installation the galaxy had ever seen. The entire system had been converted into a fortress that made previous human defensive networks look primitive by comparison. Every planet, moon, asteroid, and piece of space debris had been integrated into a unified defense grid that spanned the entire star system. The moment Commander Yasix ordered his fleet to firing positions, space around Valder Prime erupted with weapon signatures. Not dozens or hundreds, but thousands. Every piece of matter larger than a grain of sand had been weaponized, networked, and coordinated through quantum communication links that operated faster than light. "Impossible," Yasix whispered as his tactical displays showed threat assessments that exceeded his computer's ability to calculate. "No species can weaponize an entire star system. The energy requirements alone would require stellar engineering beyond our technological capabilities." His answer came as the human defensive network demonstrated capabilities that challenged fundamental assumptions about physics and engineering. The asteroid belt between Valder's 4th and 5th planets reorganized itself into geometric patterns that focused gravitational fields with surgical precision. His dreadnoughts, designed to survive direct hits from planet-killing weapons, found their hulls being compressed by forces that shouldn't be possible to generate or control. The planets themselves had been converted into massive weapons platforms. Valder Prime's core had been replaced with artificial gravity generators that could project crushing forces across interplanetary distances. The outer gas giants revealed themselves as camouflaged shipyards that launched swarms of vessels unlike anything in galactic databases. "They've turned an entire star system into a single weapon," his tactical officer reported with obvious terror. "Energy readings suggest they're drawing power directly from the star itself through some kind of stellar engineering we don't understand." But the most disturbing revelation was the technology itself. The weapons and defenses the humans deployed weren't based on any known galactic science. They had developed entirely new approaches to fundamental forces, creating capabilities that seemed to violate established physical laws. Gravitational manipulation without massive energy requirements. Faster-than-light communication that didn't rely on quantum entanglement. Energy weapons that somehow maintained coherence across astronomical distances. Force field generators that operated on principles no galactic scientist had ever theorized. How is this possible? Yasix demanded as his fleet found itself completely outmatched by defenders who shouldn't exist. 3 years ago, these humans were using primitive fusion reactors and chemical propulsion. Now they're demonstrating technology that surpasses anything in the galactic archives. The answer came from Administrator Torres herself. Commander, you're operating under a fundamental misunderstanding about human development. You assumed we would follow the same technological progression as other galactic species. Instead, we developed our own approaches to the problems you solved differently. Yasix's fleet was neutralized within 6 hours. Not destroyed, but rendered completely helpless by technologies that selectively disabled specific systems while leaving life support intact. His ships became floating museums, their crews alive but unable to operate anything more complex than emergency lighting. Your crews are safe, Torres informed him. Your vessels are undamaged but inoperative. Please consider this a demonstration of our commitment to defending human territory. The defeat of the Collective's fleet sent shockwaves through galactic civilization that reached far beyond military circles. A restricted species had not only defended themselves against one of the galaxy's premier military forces, but had done so using technology that suggested capabilities exceeding those of the most advanced galactic civilizations. Emergency sessions of the Galactic Council convened to address what was now being called the human problem. The phrase itself represented a fundamental shift in how the galaxy's established powers viewed humanity. They were no longer a minor species to be managed and contained. They had become a potential threat to galactic stability itself. Ambassador Zexon found himself defending first contact protocols that had clearly failed to identify the true nature of human civilization. Every assessment indicated they were a primitive species suitable for limited integration, he insisted. Nothing in our evaluation suggested they possessed this level of technological potential. Dr. Veltar's response carried the weight of inevitable tragedy. The assessments were correct based on the technology humans displayed. What we failed to understand was their approach to development. Other species build upon existing knowledge, refining and improving established technologies. Humans create entirely new technologies when existing solutions don't meet their needs. The implications were staggering. If humans could advance from primitive fusion power to stellar engineering in 3 years, what would they be capable of in a decade? A century? The traditional galactic hierarchy was based on the assumption that technological advancement followed predictable patterns over extended timeframes. Humans had shattered those assumptions. More disturbing reports began filtering in from across the galaxy. Human trading vessels were appearing in systems where no human presence had been authorized. Human colonies were being discovered in regions of space that galactic surveys had declared uninhabitable. Human technology was showing up in the hands of species that had never had contact with Earth. They're not just expanding, Colonel Zithara reported to the Emergency Council session. They're systematically infiltrating galactic civilization. Every major trade route, every strategic system, every technological center now has some level of human presence. The galaxy's intelligence services began coordinating their efforts to understand the scope of human activities. What they discovered challenged everything they thought they knew about human society and intentions. Humanity hadn't just established hidden colonies and military installations. They had created an entirely parallel civilization that operated in the shadows of galactic society. Human agents worked within major corporations, government agencies, and military commands throughout the galaxy, gathering intelligence and influencing decisions in ways that had gone undetected for years. They've been preparing for this moment since first contact, General Krastha realized as intelligence reports revealed the true scope of human infiltration. Every diplomatic meeting, every trade negotiation, every cultural exchange has been an intelligence-gathering operation. We've been under observation and analysis since they arrived. The most shocking discovery came when investigators realized that several major technological breakthroughs achieved by galactic civilization in recent years could be traced back to human influence. Research projects that had mysteriously received funding from anonymous sources, scientific discoveries that built upon theoretical work published in obscure journals, technological developments that seemed to come from nowhere. They've been guiding our technological development, Dr. Veltar reported with growing horror. While we thought we were restricting their access to advanced technology, they were actually directing our research efforts toward areas that served their strategic interests. The Galactic Council faced an unprecedented situation. How do you contain a species that has already infiltrated every aspect of your civilization? How do you negotiate with beings who have been manipulating your society since the moment they arrived? The answer came when humanity finally revealed their true intentions. Administrator Torres requested a formal address to the Galactic Council. The request itself was unprecedented, as restricted species had no standing to address the full council. However, given recent events, the council agreed to hear what humanity had to say. Torres appeared via quantum communication link, her image broadcast to council chambers throughout the galaxy. Her message was simple, direct, and terrifying in its implications. Members of the Galactic Council, she began, humanity appreciates the opportunity to clarify our position regarding galactic civilization and our role within it. For 3 years, we have operated within the restrictions placed upon our species while building the capabilities necessary to ensure human survival and prosperity. During this time, we have observed galactic civilization, learned its strengths and weaknesses, and developed our own approaches to the challenges of interstellar society. We have concluded that the current galactic order is not sustainable. Power structures based on ancient territorial claims and technological stagnation have created a civilization that suppresses innovation, limits individual species' potential, and perpetuates conflicts that serve no constructive purpose. Therefore, humanity hereby announces our intention to restructure galactic civilization according to more rational principles. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives of dozens of species began shouting protests, demands, and threats simultaneously. Torres waited calmly for the noise to subside before continuing. We do not seek conquest or domination. We seek partnership based on mutual benefit and shared advancement. However, we are prepared to enforce this new order if necessary. Any species that wishes to join us in building a more rational galactic civilization will be welcomed as equals. Any species that chooses to maintain the current system of restrictions and territorial conflicts will be treated as obstacles to progress. The choice is yours. The transmission ended, leaving the Galactic Council to confront the reality that humanity had moved beyond seeking integration into galactic civilization. They now sought to transform it entirely. The response was swift and predictable. Every major galactic power began mobilizing their fleets for what they assumed would be a brief but decisive war against an upstart species that had grown too confident in their limited achievements. What followed became known as the 3-Day War, though historians would debate whether it qualified as a war at all. The combined galactic fleets represented the largest military force in recorded history. Over 10,000 warships from 37 different species, including every dreadnought, battle station, and superweapon the galaxy's powers could deploy. Their objective was simple: eliminate human military capabilities and restore the established order. The fleets never reached their targets. Humanity's true capabilities were revealed as their hidden infrastructure across the galaxy activated simultaneously. Every human colony, trading post, research station, and diplomatic facility revealed itself as a component of the most sophisticated military network ever created. The war ended not with epic space battles or planetary bombardments, but with a simple demonstration of technological superiority. Every galactic fleet found their ships disabled by weapons they couldn't understand, deployed from locations they hadn't known existed, coordinated through communication networks that operated beyond their ability to detect or intercept. Within 72 hours, every major military installation in the galaxy was under human control. Not destroyed, not conquered, simply managed by new administrators who happened to be human. Personnel were retained, operations continued, but command structures now reported to human coordinators who somehow knew every detail of their previous operations. The transformation of galactic civilization was accomplished with minimal violence and maximum efficiency. Humans didn't seek to rule through fear or domination. Instead, they simply demonstrated that resistance was futile while cooperation offered unlimited potential for advancement. Species that accepted the new order found themselves with access to technologies and opportunities they had never imagined. Those that resisted discovered that their infrastructure, communications, and military forces were no longer under their control. Ambassador Zexhan, reflecting on the events years later, finally understood what Captain Sarachen had meant during their first meeting. When she said humans made the most of whatever chances they were given, she hadn't been talking about adapting to restrictions. She had been warning him that humans would use those restrictions as cover while they developed the capabilities to eliminate the restrictions entirely. The galaxy learned, too late, that the greatest mistake you can make with a predator species is to assume they will remain content with the limitations you impose upon them. Humans had spent 3 years studying galactic civilization, learning its weaknesses, and developing solutions to what they saw as fundamental problems with how the galaxy organized itself. They hadn't become apex predators through strength or aggression. They had achieved dominance through intelligence, patience, and an evolutionary heritage that taught them never to accept defeat as permanent. The galaxy now belonged to humanity not because they had conquered it, but because they had simply demonstrated that they could manage it better than anyone else. And, in the end, even the most proud and ancient galactic civilizations had to admit that the humans were probably right.